got a secret.
I would like to go over and personally escort our next guest on the show tonight. There you go. Now then, sir, will you tell our panel, please? Let's get in a little closer. Do you mind if I pull you in, sir? There we go. Will you tell our panel, please, what your name is and where you're from?
My name's Samuel J. Seymour. I'm from Maryland.
This is Mr. Seymour from Maryland. And we brought Mr. Seymour all the way up from Maryland, and by golly, he got in a hotel and fell down the steps and gave himself a shiner. And we urged him not to come on the show tonight, as a matter of fact, and finally got in touch with his doctor, and the doctor said it was up to Mr. Seymour. Mr. Seymour said he wouldn't miss it. So here he is, and feeling a party for the rest. Now then, Mr. Seymour, how old are you, by the way, sir?
96.
96 years old. Now, sir, if you'll whisper your secret to me, I'm sure the folks at home would like to know what it is. Well, now to help pacify his secret, I will tell you it concerns something that he witnessed. And Bill Cullen, we'll start with you. Something that he saw happen.
This thing that Mr. Seymour saw, does it have historical significance?
Does this have historical significance, Mr. Seymour? I would say yes, wouldn't you, sir?
I can't hear him very good. You have to tell me what it is.
Yeah, there's quite a distance between our desks here. Let's all speak up, huh?
Does it have political significance?
It had political significance at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you're 96, that would make Mr. Seymour born in 1860.
Henry is such a mathematician.
Yeah. He's been writing over there all the time. This thing, did it have anything to do with the Civil War, Mr. Seymour?
No, it had not to do with the Civil... Well, let's say indirectly it was concerned with the Civil War.
Did it
all right, an answer?
Mm-hmm.
Did it concern a famous person in American history? Very well-known person.
Did it concern a famous person, Mr. Seymour?
Yeah.
Yep.
Would it help me to know who this person was?
What did you say?
He wants to know if it would help him to know who this person was, and he has to know who that is, yes.
Did this man hold political office?
Did this man hold political office, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. $20 down and $60 to go, and we go to Jane Meadows.
Mr. Seymour.
Henry is being his usual helpful self by whispering to Jane, McKinley.
And I'm not listening. Mr. Seymour, would this person have ever been president of the United States?
Was he ever president, this man?
Oh, I think he was once.
Would it have been Abraham Lincoln?
It was Abraham Lincoln, yes.
You witnessed something to do with Abraham Lincoln. Was this a pleasant thing?
Was it a pleasant thing you saw, sir?
Not very pleasant, I don't think. I was scared to death over it.
He said, no, he was scared to death.
Would it have had anything to do with the President Lincoln's death, by any chance?
Unfortunately, yes.
Did Mr. Seymour witness the shooting of President Lincoln?
We found out about Mr. Seymour through a recent article in the American Weekly, and it said, I saw Lincoln shot. And this article is by Samuel J. Seymour, and it goes on to say that Mr. Seymour was 5 years old at the time. He had been taken to Ford's Theater by some good friends, and the curious thing was that when he was this youth, 5 years of age, when he saw Booth jump from the box to the stage, at which time he broke his leg, his only concern was not for the president, because he didn't realize that the president had been shot, but the poor man who fell out of the balcony. And that's all of his memory is of going to the theater and seeing a man fall out of the balcony. Sir, it's been a great joy and you might say an honor to have you are, by the way, the only living witness of that tragic event. And
Hello, folks. How you feel? Good this morning? Hope you do. I'm trying to get on my feet again. Feel pretty good. Thankful it's as well as it is. Oh, boys, I'm pleased to see you. I don't know where you come from, but I give you all the welcome I've got to offer you. And I want to tell you that I'm living on the same ground that I've lived on for 75 long years when I come here as an 18-year-old bride. I went to Washington 50 years and a little more ago. I saw all the people around there and been with the presidents. And I learned a great many things up there that I didn't know before. I'll add a little more to it. I was one of the board of lady managers for the Chicago Exposition. And I served my full time in Chicago and learned a good many things over there. I was a delegate to the Tennessee Centennial Exposition. I was a delegate to St. Louis, a juror at St. Louis. I think for a North Georgia cracker of my size and age, I've had a pretty good education on that line. That do all right? I was a 3-year-old girl when the Indians were moved from this country to Indian Territory. I have an indistinct recollection of seeing the red men as they went through the woods, for everything was woods nearly at that time. I have a distinct impression, if a 3-year-old child can have it. Nevertheless, I've been here since that time, and I've seen the march of progress all the way. At that time, we had only stagecoaches, and we only had horses and buggies, and we had lots of footback travelers, usually. Now I've seen it come along all this way, and the airplane goes over my house going on its way, and it's got to be such a common thing, the old girl don't go even out to see if she can look at it.
Yes, I was a train robber and a bank robber. That was back in 1895, 6, and 7. It was after my brother had been murdered. The law had failed to convict the murderers, and I went out for revenge and got myself tangled up in a business way with some other people. And we went into train robbing and bank robbing just as a business, like any businessman would. The last train robbery that I was engaged in with my band of bandits was on the Rock Island. It was the Meteor at 11:55 a.m. We all knew there was $100,000 on there that was to pay the Indians. A friend gave us that tip. We stopped it at 11:55 at Pocasset, and we were there about an hour. Some of the details of the robbery might be amusing, and some of it serious. I knew there was $100,000 in the Express, and we intended to get that. But we couldn't open the safe, and we blew the car nearly to pieces. Then, not getting any money, I ordered the passengers out on the right-of-way and lined them up against the wire fence. And then we took up our offering from them. It was during that time that I recognized many of my old friends that I'd known when I was county attorney in El Reno. But they didn't know me because I wore a mask that day. Many prominent lawyers, preachers were on the train. Some of them I knew well. I wore a mask on that occasion because I was not afraid of identification, but I was ashamed of my calling, and I didn't want my old friends to know the line of business I was engaged in. Then it was that they finally captured me, put me in the hands of a receiver at Columbus, Ohio, for the period of my natural life and hard labor. It was during that time that I had to reflect on the past, and then it was that the regrets came. When I stepped out of the penitentiary door, due to the fact that Senator Mark Hanna procured my liberty through William McKinley. Afterwards, Theodore Roosevelt gave me a full and free pardon and his confidence. I promised him I'd make good. I have been honest for over 30 years, but very lonesome. But I want it understood by the boys of the land that it doesn't pay really and truly to be a bandit. I don't think it pays to violate the law in any sense. And I hope, under circumstances, by speaking to the public, that I may in some small way assist the better understanding of law enforcement. I have no reference to prohibition. I speak of the law in general. And now I want to say, for the benefit of the boys of the land, don't rob anybody. Don't think of violating the law. I want you to realize that all the misery and the heartache that was incident to those days of outlawry come back to me like a cruel shadow. I want to see the law enforced. I want the law to be enforced honestly on all alike in this land of ours, so that every boy now growing up under its influence can have respect and will obey the law instead of being thrown into a vortex that we have now, like the Crime Commission is trying to suppress. I want to see your boys going to schools and to colleges and growing up to be men and not bandits. But if they've got to violate the law, let them become candidates for public office. They can get it so much easier and not be caught. I thank you very much.